you can also use the table, the time value of money table. So how to read that, and then um, how to use the interpolation method, especially if the interest is not kuan kanang naibungkig, let's say 4.5%, 4.3%. So, and also I'm going to discuss, okay, how to use the financial calculators. So again, no need to buy financial calculators because there are a lot of apps, okay, na financial calculator nga application sa Google Store or sa I don't know sa Apple nga kuan. I don't know if nabay available sa Apple but sa Google Store na. Okay? So so I guess I already showed you last time the scientific calculator nga mga formulas and the basic calculator. So naa na dito sa new LMS akong gi-upload. So you can check it out. So how to use the basic calculator in answering your different mga time value of money concepts. So kindly watch na lang sa YouTube video ato. So what I'm going to show you before we continue the PowerPoint presentation is to okay. So aside from the PowerPoint before we continue with the PowerPoint presentation, so let us start. Um, I'm going to show you how to use the Excel, okay, and then the table. Okay, so I hope you can see it clearly. So so the rate. So I already that's the rate. So 4% or 0.04. So let's assume this is compounding annually or discounting annually. Okay, so there are 3 years, so the N per is 3. If this is semi-annual, so mahulog ni siya nga i-multiply og duha. Okay, so may mo na siyang 6. If it's quarterly, multiply the years to 4 because there are 4 quarters in a year. If it's 12 months or if it is monthly, then multiply it by 12. Daily, multiply it by 365. Okay, 365 days. Now for the rate, so since annual man ta, so walay problema. Okay, so what is the nominal rate is also the periodic rate atong gamiton. However, there are cases nga ang compounding is semi-annually or quarterly. So how to get the rate or periodic rate? Simply divide the annual rate. So kung nagihatag ang problem, tapos wala siya giingon kung unsa na siya quarterly ba o semi-annual or annually, we will assume it's an annual rate. Okay? It's an annual nominal rate. So kung annual nominal rate na siya tapos compounding quarterly, for example, so kailangan pa na nimo siya i-divide by 4, okay? To get the periodic interest. So let's say 4% annually. If it's quarterly, so divide it by 4. So your quarterly interest is 1% or 0.01. If it is semi-annual, then 4% divided by 2 because there are 2 semi-annual in a year. Okay? So if monthly, divide by 12, daily divided by 365. For example, in this case, so the compounding or discounting is annually. So the nominal rate is 4%. Years is 3. So 3 years ka. 3 years na siya ang maturity niya or tenor. Kung lump sum imong kwaon, then expect that there is a zero na siya. However, okay, so zero pag lump sum. But for annuities, so that's the payment. So it's stated in a negative. So negative 100. So let's start. So for lump sum formula or sa time value of money table, that's called the future value of 1. Okay? Future value of 1. So get the future value. So equals FB or future value, open parentheses, the rate, so which is 4%, comma, N per is 3. So again, kay lump sum man ni siya, so 0 atong ibutang. Okay? The present value, so let's have, okay, so the present values are always stated in a negative. Okay, because they are cash outflows. So payments na sila. So mag-release ta og kwarta. So negative 100. As to type, so pag lump sum depende, but usually ang mga lump sum is paid or invested at the start. So there are two options. 0 is for end of the period, 1 is for the beginning of the period. So if lump sum, so usually I will choose 1. Okay, because most of the lump sum are paid at the start. So and then enter. So that's the present value, the future value of the 100. Okay, so after 3 years, the value of your 100, if the rate is 4%, is 112.49. Okay, 112.49. How about if you are asked, okay, to get the present value? So kaning 100 dere, let's assume that's already the future value. So what is its equivalent today? Okay, so if in 3 years the value of is 100, what is its value today? Okay, so equals PV for present value. So the rate is similar, that's 4%. N per is 3. So payment is 0 because this is lump sum. So mabutangan lang na siya if it's annuity. The future value is, let's say, 100. As to type, so beginning, close parentheses, and then enter. Oh, that's 88.90. So why it's negative? Okay, so again, was the present value gina siya ng mga amounts. So it is stated in a negative because these are expressed in, because cash outflows are negative. Okay, so pagawas man na siya. Okay, so what if you are asked to get the rate? So the problem asks to get the rate or the interest rate. Okay, so to get the rate, so equals rate, open parentheses, N per, so that's 3. The payment, so we'll use the lump sum. Okay, lump sum na itong gi-compute gay na. So payment is 0. The present value is 100, negative 100. The future value of that is 112.49. As to type, so we use beginning and then guess. So that's ay magkakuha na ng guess because you can put any number, so it doesn't matter. It will not affect the results. So whatever number I put in the guess, so it will not affect. So even if I put 0 here, okay, or 1 or 1,000, the answer would still be the same. So I enter, so 4%. So which is similar to our kuan gay na. So just to check if it's really 4%. How about if ang lacking or ang gipangita is n or n per? Okay, so number of periods. So again, you use the formula equals n per. So kung gaina is rate karon n per. Open parentheses, 4%. Payment lump sum, wala pa to sa mga annuities, so we use the lump sum. So 0 ang payment. The present value is negative 100. Future value is 112.49. As to type, so di ba we use beginning kay lump sum. So close parenthesis, enter. Check, di ba? 3 dere, 3 po dere. So, which means is the right answer. What if instead of a lump sum formula, you are tasked to get the future value OA or ordinary annuity? So meaning the payments are paid at the end of each period, compounding period. So let's say annual ang compounding, so the payment is um, at the end. Okay, so the payment is expressed in a negative because again this is a cash payment, cash outflow. Okay, so that's why I put here negative. So all in all, you are paying 300 pesos. Okay, diba? Kaya each year, so 100, another sa second year 100, third year 100. So you have a total payments of 300 pesos. So how to get the future value of that? So there are already answers. So yun sa napagkuha. So simply lang equals itong future value gaina FB open parenthesis the rate, okay, and per is 3. Di ba zero tong payment gaina because lump sum. But since annuity naman ta, okay, so naana na siya value, so that's negative 100. Again, the payments are expressed in negative because they are cash outflows. Okay, so 100 um, present value this time. So we are computing for annuity, so 0 na siya. Then type, ordinary annuity man ta. Okay, so it's at the end of the period. So you have choices here, 0 if it's at the end of the period, 1 is if beginning of the period. So kay ordinary annuity, so you type 0. Close parentheses, future value ordinary annuity is 312.16. Okay. How about present value? Okay. So equals lang gyapon na siya. That's PV, open parentheses, rate, N per 3, payment is negative 100, FB is 0 because annuity is atong gikuha, then type 0, ordinary annuity man. Enter, so 277.51. Okay, so annuity juice. Okay, so again, the difference between the ordinary annuity is that an annuity juice that ordinary annuity is paid at the end of each compounding period, while the annuity dues are paid at the start, okay, at the start of the compounding period. So that's why they have an extra year. Okay, so gain na, same ra ang formula. However, ang type lang atong ilisan. Okay, so, di ba, 0 man to gain na. So, 8, N per is 3, payment is negative 100, PV is 0, type is 1 because beginning of the period man ang annuity dues. Close parentheses, enter. We have 324.65, okay, for the future value annuity due. For present value annuity due, so mura gyapon gain na, ang giilisan lang nato is ang type. Rate, N per is 3, payment is negative, FV is 0, and then type is 1. Close parentheses, enter. So your answer is 288.61. Okay. If you notice, the annuity dues are higher than their ordinary annuities. Okay, so 'di ba? 312.16 dire tapos dire 324.65. Present value is 277.51 while the annuity dues are 288.61. So the reason for that is again, they have an extra year, 'di ba? Kaya nag-start man sila dayon. Okay? For extra period. Now, how to compute loan amortization? So what is your, for example, nangutang ka, say 1,000 pesos, and then you will pay interest nga 4% each year. Okay? So how what is your annual payment or yearly payment? Okay, so usually we use this to compute our, for example, if na housing, so you avail the housing loan or any type of loans, then you wanted to compute kung pila imong bayran every year or every month. So this is how you solve that. Equals PMT for payment, open parenthesis, that's the rate. Okay, so say let's say rate is 4%, interest expense. Okay, so NPER is also 3 years ang imong nga bayaran. Now for PV, okay, so ang kaning loan proceeds, kanay mong giutang, that's actually the present value. Okay, because you are receiving it now. Okay, so, but since present value man ta, this is cash outflow, so it is expressed in a negative terms. So negative 1,000. So FBs, that's 0. Then type. So when are you going to start paying? Is it at the beginning of the period or at the end? So if it's at the end of the period, then you type 0. Close. That's 360.35. So every year you will pay 360.35. So that's already inclusive of the interest. Okay. Okay, so that's for the Excel. Now we will use the table, okay? The time value of money table. So for example, you want to look for the interest, okay? So there's already a future value, so ordinary annuity ni siya. That's 3,137.03. And then you have 1,000 as your payment. So each year you will pay 1,000. The number of periods, this is 3 for 3 years. So how to look for the interest per year. So of course, if you are using the Excel, so dali ra kay na siya. Okay? So, 'di ba? We solve that by kaning a formula. That's rate, so on and so forth. However, if you don't have the Excel or if you have no access sa computer, kaya gyapon kwaon ang interest rate. Okay? So, there are two options. You use the trial and error, or perhaps mas dali, mas efficient kung if you use the interpolation method. Okay? So to get the interpolation method or to use the interpolation method, you need to know the factor. Okay? So unsa man ang factor? So this is ordinary annuity. You have the payment. Okay? 'Di ba ang payment i-multiply na nimo sa 1 ko this is future value ordinary annuity, that's 1 plus interest raised to positive n minus 1 divided by the interest. Okay? So kato sila, that's what we call the factor. So unsa may answer ato Sa may answer ato. So to get the factor, you simply divide the future value ordinary annuity by the payment. Okay? So that is equivalent to 3,137 divided by 1,000. Now, sorry, divide by 1,000 the payment. The factor is 303.14. Now, unsay next step nato? So we already know the factor that it is 3.14. So we look it up in the time value of money table. So there are textbooks that talks about na ay appendices nga kuan time value of money table. So for example, if you are going to search for lump sum, future value lump sum, then imong ibutang dira is time value of money table, future value of 1. Okay, basta lump sum, future value of 1 or di ba kaha present value of 1. Depende. How about if it's annuity? So you have to be specific if it's ordinary annuity or annuity due. Okay? So present value ordinary annuity, present value annuity due. Okay? So however, the problem, ang gihatag sa ato is ordinary annuity. So we have to look for the table for future value ordinary annuity. Okay? So I search gain na. So this is the table. So this is for the future value of ordinary annuity. Okay? So na-interest, di ba? So makita ni mo diri are the interest per period. The number of periods or number of compounding periods. So since 3 years siya, annual ang compounding. So diri ta mag-focus sa 3. So see there are factors. So 3 point something. So we look for 3.14. Okay? So asa man ang 3.14. So notice wala kay 3.14 makita, 'di ba? Wala tay 3.14. However, amagoy times nga dili siya mo fall under kanang sa table. But we are sure that the interest rate is now between 4 to 5%. Okay? Nga nakaingon ko between 4 to 5% because you have 3.12160 which is lower than 3.14. 5% is 3.15 to 50. So ang 3.14 naa sa tunga. Okay, nasa tunga sa 4% and 5%. Okay? So at least mas better pa na siya kaysa sa magsige kag trial and error until you find the exact. So what we are sure is that it's between 4 to 5%. So the interest rate might be 4.01 or 4.99 to 4.99. Okay? So you have option to have a trial and error. Okay, but again it's inefficient. So for that we will use the interpolation method. So how to use the interpolation method? Okay, so we just copy paste. Right, so the 4% new factor is 3.1216. However, that is not what we are looking for. We know that the rate is in between 4 to 5%. So I put question mark. So the factor is 3.14. And then for 5%, so gain na ako na ito copy paste ha. So 3.1525 ang factor niya. Okay, so get first the difference. So kung lower rate, kung sa difference ni lower rate sa atong gipangita nga rate. So gamay. So 3.14 minus 3.12, 16. So you have 0.0184. If sa higher rate, ang sa difference ni higher rate o sa kaning rate niya atong gipangita, so that's 3.1525 minus 3.14. So that you have 0.0125. So the next step after getting the difference, so that's a total of 0.0309. Okay. Now the next step after getting the difference and the total difference is to use the formula. So there are two ways in getting the answer. So it's either you use the lower rate and or the higher rate. So the lower rate pertains to 4%, while the higher rate pertains to 5%. So this is the formula in getting the approximate. Okay, so when say approximate, it's only an estimate nga rate nga atong gipangita. So the lower rate plus the difference sa lower rate ug sa kaning atong gipangita divided by the total difference times 0.01. So asa man ni gikuha ang 0.01. So that's the distance between 4% and 5%. So that's only 1% difference. So mo ni siya ang figures. So lower rate is 4%. The difference is 0.0184. Divide sa total difference, which is 0.0309. Then multiply it by 0.01, the distance. So there's already an answer, but I want to show you how it is done. So 4% plus lower rate nga difference divide by total difference and then multiply it by 0.01. So on. Kung higher rate po ka, kung kay na imong gi-add karon imong gi-minus. So higher rate minus the difference over the total rate or the total difference, multiply it by 1%. Okay? Or kani, substitute. So again, 5% minus the difference divided by the total difference, multiply it by 0.01. Okay? Okay, so please next time use nga email so that you can musulod diretso sa class. Okay, if you're using your personal email, so every time I need to admit you to the class. Okay, next. So whether you use the lower rate yung formula or higher rate yung formula, you will get the same answer. Okay, you will get the exact answer. Okay. Now you want to verify. Okay, you want to verify if that's really the answer. Diba, we are looking for future value ordinary annuity 3,137.03. So if you notice, na sila ligas pero siguro mga less than 2 pesos. Okay? Because again, the interpolation method ang mo makuhaan na is only an approximate or an estimate. Pero the estimate is very, very close to the correct answer or the real answer. So to get that, so nanamatay rate, so use the future value rate nga for kani N per is 3 years. Payment is negative 1,000. So 0 ang PV, type is 0 at the end of the period because this is ordinary annuity. So the exact answer is the answer for that using the ato nakuha gay na is 3,139.98. Okay, but however, it has a difference of less than 2 pesos sa atong gipangayo or gipangita. So of course the Excel mas accurate gyapon. So rate open parentheses, that's N per 3. Payment is negative 1,000. PV is 0 because wala tay because type is the type is 0 because it's end of the period. And guess the type is 0, then beginning of wait lang. Future value not a future value, which is 3,137.03. Type is 0. I guess any number, those, that's it. Okay? So the exact rate nga atong gipangita is 4.50%. So para mo equal siya sa 3,137.03. However, if you notice, very, very, kuan ra gid kayo, duol ra. So nag-differ lang sila mga siguro 0.01 or 0.001. So kay kung round off din mo, this is 4.6%. While the correct answer is, or the accurate answer is 4.50%. Okay? Or perhaps you can use the financial calculators. So you can download it in your okay, so I have downloaded the financial calculator. So for example, the TVM or TVM calculator stands for time value of money. So this is the okay. So akong ibutang ang details. So we're looking for the rate. So ang atong i-blanko diri is ang rate. So payments of negative 1,000. We have the future value 3,137.03, periods of 3, and it is compounding annually. End of the period ang bayad. So I already input the given. So I hope you can see that. So if I click the future value on the right side, so it will give you the answer. And not the FB, that the rate. So that's 4.50%. Okay? So mas convenient siya. Okay, so okay, so so you have five means on how to compute for the time value of money. So you can use your basic calculator. So ako na siyang gi-upload. Ano, not upload, but I already send you the link, the YouTube link where you can see the video on the tutorial on how to use the basic calculator. You can also use your scientific calculator, the Microsoft Excel, financial calculators, and of course you can use the table, the time value of money table. Okay, so okay, so let's proceed with let's continue or the what we have left off last time. So power of compound interest. So wait, okay. So for example, there's a 20-year-old student who wants to save $5 a day for retirement. So some would find this funny kay 20 years old pa pero naguna-una na siya og retirement. Okay? But I tell you, the earlier you start for your retirement, okay, the better. Okay? So the best time actually for um, preparing for your retirement is ideally is when you already start your when you start earning. Okay? So dapat ka plano na ka sa retirement. So ang iya lang, so bata pa siya, 20 years old, but he already thinking. He's already thinking of his retirement. Okay. So he wants to save $5 a day for the retirement. So every day she places $5 in a drawer. So of course, kung sa drawer, dili na siya ma-earn og interest. So every day, so at the end of the year, so naa siya 1,825 and then butang niya sa brokerage account. So it refers to probably stocks or bonds or perhaps mutual funds. Okay, so it has an expected annual return or a possible annual return of 8%. So each year, so 1,825 iyang gibutang at the end of the year. So this is ordinary annuity. So 8%. So how to compute the retirement fund? So for example, he will retire at the age of 65. So that's between 20 to 65. So pila na ka years? What is the difference? Okay, so 65 minus 20. So the student has 45 years to uh, 45 years para mag-invest. Okay? So we already know it's retirement fund man, so it's a future value. And since um, she's paying at the end of the year, so that's ordinary annuity. So you use the future value ordinary annuity formula. So if she begins saving today, how much will she have when she is 65? So for Excel, so kay ba naman mo unsan pag-calculate sa ordinary annuity. So so input lang. So 8% as the rate, 45 is the NPER, negative 1825 as the payment. Okay, so 1,825 ba yung gibayaran. Zero is because annuity man siya, so zero for present value. And then as to the type, so you type zero because it's at the end of the period. So, or you can use the financial calculator. Okay, for example, I will input okay, so period is 45. That's annually. Interest is 8%. So payment is negative 1825. Okay, so why problema basta financial calculator. You just need to input. Okay, so future value is 705,372.75. Okay, so sa iyang gibayad, okay, pila to iyang gibayad tanan. So iyang gibayad is 1825 for 45 years, di ba? So 1825 times 45, ang iyang gibayaran is around $82,125. Okay? $18,125. But look at the difference. Okay, so that's 705,373 minus 82,125. So ang iyang gain, iyang ginansya is around 623,000. Okay? Next, if you don't start saving until you are 40 years old, so nagkaunaw na ka nga mag-start og save at age 40. So how much will you have at 65? So if a 40-year-old investor begins saving today and sticks to the plan, he or she will have, okay, so between 65 and 40, so you only have 25 years, di ba? To compound. So interest year is 8, and then PV is 0, payment is 1825, future value is only 133,418. So mura na yung makakuha niya upon retirement. But still, mas dako gyapon na siya kaysa sa iyang total nga gibayad. So that's the Excel formula. So how much must the 40-year-old deposit annually to catch the 20-year-old? So pila daw kuno ibayaran ni 40 years old para pareha sila og retirement fund ni 20 years old. Okay? So pila ganito ang fund ni 20 years old? That's 705,373. So gusto ni 40-year-old niya pag retire niya, inana gyapon ang amount nga iyang madawat. So how much must the 40-year-old deposit annually para mapareha sila? So to get that, so you use the payment niya formula. Okay, so sa Excel, that's payment. So that's the rate. Okay, so it is 8%. N per is 25. Okay, 25 naman lang ka years before siya mag-65. PV is 0. Future value is 3,705, 373. And then as to type, 0 because end of the year or end of the period. So, para makatch niya si 20-year-old, dapat maghatag siya og 9,648.64. Okay? So, $9,648.64. So, ang gibayad rin ni 20-year-old is, di ba, 1,825. Okay? So, that's the power of the compounding period. So, in investing, the earlier start, okay, the better. So what is the present value if you have an even cash flow stream? So to get the answer, so dili nimo magamit tong formula for ordinary annuities and annuity due because they don't have a uniform cash flow. So may tabuan ni isa-isahon gyud nimo sila using the lump sum formula. So like for example, kay 100, so ang distance niya is 1 year, di ba? So that's 100, multiply it by 1.04 raised to negative 1 because 1 year lang ang distance from the time now or present. Kung 300, so i-add nimo 300 multiply by 1.04 kay 4% man raised to negative 2 because distance niya from the present is 2 years. Then sa 300 multiply 1.04 raised to negative 3 and then kani negative 50 so pasabot ani negative 50. So probably you don't wala na ka nagbayad but you receive something. So that's why it's negative. Okay? So negative 50 times 1.04 raised to negative 4. Okay? So muna ang answer nila, 96.15, 277.37, 266.70, and notice, minus siya kay negative man siya. So the total present value for an even cash flow is 597.48. So another, so this is in the for the using the financial calculator ni siya. Okay, so of course you will still get the same answer. Will the future value of a lump sum shall be larger or smaller if compounded more often, holding the stated rate is constant? So asa daw kuno mas dako mohatag og interest? Okay, annual ba, semi-annual ba, quarterly or kuan? So pasabot ana asay mas dako og interest? Katong daghang compounding periods or lower or lesser? So of course, larger. So as more periods are compounded, the interest is earned on interest more often. So more compounding periods, mas better. Okay? So of course, if you are investing, more compounding periods is a good news. Okay? Kay mas dako imong madawat niya return. However, ikaw ang gabayad, if utang na siya, so of course, it's a disadvantage. Okay? Mas dako kag bayaran. Okay? So for example, one is compounded annually and the other is compounded semi-annually. So 10% ang iyang annual rate, nominal rate. Uh, anong 4% man gigamit? So mali ni siya. This is 4%. So annual rate is 4% and then 3 years. So that's 112.49. Kung semi-annually, so ang annual rate is i-divide nimo ikaduha kay duha man ka semi-annual in a year. So 4% divided by 2 is 2%. So muna na kay 2%. Then the N, because there are two compounding periods in a year tapos 3 years siya. So that's 2 times 3. So 6. So the answer is 112.62. So compared annually sa semi-annually, mas dako gyud ang semi-annually. Although parehas na sila kuan, okay? Parehas sa gibayad pero the compounding periods is different. So Classification of interest. So the nominal rate is also known as the quoted or stated rate. So muna yung makita ninyo nga rate, especially in the contract. Okay? So they are usually given. Okay? So periods must also be given. So for example, it is stated 4% annually, 4% quarterly, 4% daily. So for example, credit cards, that is 2% monthly, di ba? So some credit cards, depende sa bangko. Periodic rate is the amount of interest charged each period. So for example, 4%. So if it is quarterly compound, then i-divide pa na ni mog 4. If it is monthly compounding, i-divide og 12. Semi-annually, divide by 2. So, in comparing kung asa ta makabarato, for example, if you are lending, if you are borrowing money, so dili ka dapat mag-compare sa nominal rates. Okay? Okay, perhaps pareha sila nominal rates, but lahi-lahi og compounding periods. Let's say ang isa is pareha sila nominal rate 12%, pero ang isa is quarterly, ang isa is semi-annually. So asa man imong pilion. Okay? So we cannot use the nominal rate. So you need to compute the effective or equivalent annual rate. Okay? So effective annual rate imong computon. So effective annual rate, it is the annual rate of interest that you actually earned or actually paid. Depende kung sa imong situation. Okay? So considering compounding. So the formula in getting the effective rate, so that's 1 plus nominal rate. Okay? So annual nominal rate divided by 2. Okay, semi-annual man. So raised to 2. Okay? Because there are two compounding periods in a year. So minus 1. So your true rate, so true nga imong gibayad or gi-earn is 4.04%. So you should be indifferent between receiving 4.04% annual interest and receiving 4% interest compounded semi-annually. Okay? Let's say ang gibutang sa contract is 4.0 between 4.02% pero annual. Tapos ang isa is 4% pero compounded man pod semi-annual. So kung gabasi ka sa rate lang, most likely pilion nimo tong 4% semi-annual. Not knowing that its effective rate is higher, 'di ba? 4.04% against katong annual lang nga 4.02%. So it's important to consider effective rates because investments with different compounding intervals provide different effective returns. So kung dili sila compounding periods, maglisod ka og compare kung nominal rates ra imong gamiton. So that's why you need to compute for effective rates. So to compare investments with different compounding intervals, you must look at their effective returns or the effective annual return. So for example, kani. So similar, 4%. So kung annual ang compounding, so parehas ra 4%. Semi-annual is 4.4%. If it's compounding quarterly, it's 4.6 and so on. Okay? So the more compounding periods, the higher the effective annual rates. So when is each rate used? So the nominal rates are written into contract. So mo gini ang makita sa kontrata or mo i-advertise permente sa mga bangko or sa brokers. So they are not used in calculations or shown on timelines. So used in calculators, ang interest, periodic interest, so mo na itong ginagamit for our time value nga mga computations. And also for getting the effective annual return. So effective annual return is used to compare. So if asa ka magbaro, kung magbaro ka for example, you use you look for the lower nga rate, lower effective annual return. If it's investment, look for the higher effective annual return. So what is the future value of $100 after 3 years? Okay, semi-annual compounding or quarterly compounding. Okay, so semi-annual ni siya. So 2%, 2 times 3, so 112.62. Quarter, so 4 divided by 4, that's 1%. 4 times 3, 3 years, that's 12. So 112.68. Can the effective rate be equal to nominal rate? Of course, okay? Especially if the compounding is annually. So parehas ra. So if the compounding period is increased, so the effective rate would always be higher than the nominal rate. So future value of a 3-year $100 annuity, nominal rate or quoted interest rate is 4% compounded semi-annually. So sa timeline, inana siya. So gabayad ka annually, but the compounding period is every semi-annual. So there are 6 compounding periods. So getting the future value, so that's 100. So 104.04. So giunsa na siya, that's 2%. So there are 2 compounding periods man gikan sa from 4 to 6. So 1.02 raised to positive 2. Okay, so kung diripog ka, so compounding period is 1, gikan sa 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4, 1.02 raised to positive 4. So add, that's the total compounding, the total future value. Okay, so that's the formula. So wala nagi-compute ang future value kay sa 6 kay what is the value unsa imong gibayad ana nga time, that's already the present value. So find the EAR and treat as an annuity. So input lang pag financial calculator and Excel. So use the effective annual return. So 0.0404 or 312.28. Present value, so use the present value formula. So that's negative 277.30. So kani atong gi-compute. So we use the effective annual return. Okay, last loan amortization. So muna akong gingon gaina. Amortization tables are widely used for home mortgages, auto loans, business loans, retirement plans, etc. So walay problema if you have financial calculators and spreadsheets because it's very easy to get the amortization table or the amortization. So for example, you construct an amortization schedule for a $1,000. So mo na imong gi-borrow $1,000 proceeds, loan proceeds. Then you will pay 4% annual rate loan with 3 equal payments. So take note, 3 equal payments. So what will you pay now? What would you pay each year nga equal tapos inclusive na ang 4% nga interest rate. Okay? So to get that, so payment ang imong ano niya formula. So payment, then rate 4%, 3 years as NPER, negative 1,000 as your present value kay kanang loan proceeds nga imong madawat, that's already the present value. Okay? That's what you receive today. Then 0 as to payment and then type because you will pay at the end of the period. Pero kung magbayad ka at the start or advance payment, that's equivalent to 1. Alright, so ang nakuha niya sa atong Excel pod nato, di ba? Atong nakuha is 360.35. So let's look at the table, amortization table. So the borrower will owe interest upon the initial balance. So interest is to be paid in the first year and can be found by multiplying beginning balance by the interest. So to get the interest expense, so whatever is the beginning balance, so i-multiply na sa 4%. So principal, how to get the pilay atong i-deduct sa principal. So i-minus nimo ang imong gibayad, that's payment, minus the interest. Okay? So mo na ang imong deductible sa imong principal amount, which is 1,000. So ending balance, so 1,000 minus 320, that's the attributable to principal. So here is the amortization table. So beginning balance, di ba? Bayad ka, borrow ka 1,000. Each year you will pay approximately, or giround off na ni siya to 360, but your exact payment is 360.35. So interest expense is 4% times 1,000, so 40. So what is attributable to principal or i-deduct mo sa principal is only 320. Okay, 360 minus 40 is 320. Getting the ending balance, 1,000 minus 320. So next year, 680 na lang imong beginning balance. So bayad na po kag 360, interest is 4%, 4% of the beginning balance. So 680 times 4%, that's 270. So what is attributable to principal or atong i-deduct sa principal? 360 minus 27 is 333. O, muna po na i-minus nimo sa beginning balance to get the ending balance nga 347. So 347, bayad na po kag 360. 4% of 347 is 14 pesos or $14. So 360 minus 14 is 347. So dapat at year 3 wala na kay ending balance. So your total payment is 1,081. Interest is 81 pesos. So overall, ang imong nabayad niya interest tanan-tanan is $81. Then principal, okay? So interest paid declines with each payment as the balance declines. So usually inana pud sa pag-ibig ng mga housing loans, di ba? So magka-reduce ang kuan. Ka-reduce ang gibayad niya interest. Okay? So this is the table. Where does the money go? 20.35 for at the start. Tapos magkadako, interest nimo magkagamay. Okay? Okay, so that's all for the time value of money. Okay? So before I end this class, so I want you to compute. So I hope you have your calculators with you, or you can access with sa Excel. So just one problem lang, okay? Just to know if kuan. Okay, just to assess. So I'll give you this problem. Okay, so number 2, kindly solve number 2. So what is the future value of a 5-year ordinary annuity with annual payments of $200 evaluated at 15% interest? So I'll give you 2 minutes, or I mean 1 minute. So and then i-type ninyo inyong answer sa chat box. Okay. Type in your answers now. Okay, type in your answers, whatever it is, so that I would know if you are napaba mo dira. Okay. Okay, so don't be shy. Okay. Okay, answers now. Okay, so about the others. Okay, so there are two answers nga ako nakita. It's 1348.48 o 1550.75. So which is which? Okay, so no problem. Okay, whatever is your answer, so kaya na siya. Okay, so we'll use the financial calculator to verify or to know the answer. So it's stated there that so it's 5-year ordinary annuity. So ordinary annuity at the end of the period, interest. So we use the FB ordinary annuity formula. Interest annually is 15%, annual payments of 200 or negative 200. Okay, so I already input the data. So I just click the kanang sa right side, that's the future value. So gibutang na nako dira ang rate 15%, periods is 5, and then payments of negative 200. So the future value is, okay, so a lot of you got the correct answer. That's 1,348.48. Okay, so congratulations. Okay, so I advise you, so naanay practice test sa time value of money. So make use of that, so para ma-master na ninyo ang time value of money. Okay? So I'm not strict kung unsa gigamit ninyo. So you can use any method. So you want to So you can use your basic calculators, scientific calculators, Excel, um, the time value of money table, and so on. Okay? So wala yung problema. Okay? Sa exam, kung mag-take mo exam or quiz, so you use any method niya gusto ninyo. But of course, I urge you also to dapat nga kay balo ka mo gamit maski asa. Okay? Dapat katigo ka mo gamit og basic calculator, scientific, Excel, mobasa sa time value of money table, and using the financial calculator. Okay? So we do not know kung unsa nga atong gamiton in the future. So not only for the examination but in the workplace. Okay? Later on. All right. Okay, so we're done with time value of money table, time value of money. So next, this Thursday, the quiz is already uh, present in the Neo LMS. Siguro ang wala na lang na ko'y quiz is the capital markets, money and capital markets. So probably by Thursday, the quiz is already available. So midterm exam, okay? So this week wala tayong midterm exam but next week na, okay? So starting next week, so we will not have classes because I will allocate that week for your midterm exams. So those who are ready, so you can already take your exams. So coverage. So what's the coverage for the exam? So it's from the start. Okay. So you have overview, financial institutions on financial markets, money and capital markets, and then last is the time value of money. Okay. Time value of money. All right. So you have some clarifications or questions before we go. So thank you for those who are participating. So it doesn't matter kung kuan mo karon, na wrong mo karon. So you still have time to practice. Okay? No more questions, clarifications. All right. Mark Dave. So sir, sa financial calculator, unsa na calculator amo gamiton? Dagan man gud nakabutang, naglibog ko sir kay na TVM, ROI. Yes, the financial calculator is kuan gina siya. Halos sa tanan kuan, financial nga aspect. So naa dito unsa on pag-compute sa value sa bonds, sa stocks, sa retirement, capital budgeting naa dito tanan. So you use the TVM, yeah? Okay, TVM calculator or time value of money calculator. So mo ako nakaganahan ana nga app kay naatanan. Okay? Okay, so TVM. Okay, TVM ang inyong i-type. I mean inyong i-click for time value of money. Okay, so good that you have already downloaded the financial calculator. So it's very convenient. Okay. Okay. Other clarifications, questions? Okay. So I guess murag wala naman siguro. Yes. Marson. Um, unsa ning IRR NPV calculator, sir? Okay. So dili sa muna ko i-spoil no kay that's actually for the second sem na siya nga subject. Okay. So when we reach capital budgeting, so I will explain you ana nga time pa ko mo explain how to use the IRR nga kuan NPV. Okay? So and that's IRR means internal rate of return and then NPV stands for net present value. So these are used to kuan for mga capital budgeting nga mga decisions. Okay, financial decisions. So I will not elaborate further on that. So we will kuan uh, that will be explained in your capital budgeting sa second niya financial management, okay, nga subject. Okay? Napa ba? Napailain concern? Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you for your participation today. Thank you for listening. See, no meeting next week because that's for your midterm. So we will meet on October 19 for another topic. Okay, so we will discuss the personal finance, the insurance, and mutual funds. Okay. Okay. So see you on October 19. So please study and continue practicing your uh, time value of money. Okay. Thank you.